Thank you. Thank you, Marcia. Perfect. So I come to my second part of the presentation, and here we go into detail of the measures, of the concrete measures. So, and the first one is the e-mobility offensive. As you can see here, the uptake of electric passenger cars has accelerated strongly in the last few months. Instead of last year, in September 21, we had the highest share of electric cars in new registrations so far. For the first time, the number of newly registered battery electric vehicles was higher than that of diesel cars, which is great, I think. And in 2021, as a whole, every fifth newly registered car was already a battery electric, a plug-in hybrid, or a fuel cell electric car. And also the number of battery electric vehicles more than doubled compared to 2020. From the beginning of 2022, on the amount and share of electric vehicles, it has stalled a little. From my perspective, this has to do with the current situation of chip shortages and also supply bottlenecks. And in my perspective, this will start growing again after these circumstances are resolved, hopefully in the not so far future. You can also see here the tipping point, which was in the middle of the year 20. Yeah, and as you can see here, Austria's e-mobility offensive already covers a lot of different fundings for electric vehicles. And this for individuals, but also for companies, regional authorities, and associations. And starting this funding offerings, starting with cargo bikes and going up to even large buses. The most funding offers are a cooperation of the BMK with the car importers, the two-wheeler importers, and the sports retailers. So they have to give a specific discount before the Climate Action Ministry funding can be applied for. The application can be made by the settlement office, and for this funding scheme, it's the Communal Public Consult. We also have offers for charging infrastructure, and this ranges from 600 euros for a wall box for individuals up to 30,000 euro for a public accessible recharging point that has more than 100 kilowatt of power. But yeah, and we also have offerings for charging stations in apartment buildings and for apartment buildings charging infrastructure, which is shared. And we also have funding offers for special purpose vehicles, such as e-fire brigade vehicles, or electric breakdown and towing vehicles, or e-ambulances. And I will come on where we have this placed. The funding offers are divided into two different guides. So one for the individuals, that's the left one, and one for companies, regional authorities, and associations. The last one has also two different funding modes, as you can apply for the most of the offers in the de minimis scheme, or to submit an application in the cheaper scheme. As for the de minimis, you can register at the funding agency that you intend to get an eligible vehicle or charging infrastructure. And after the registration, you have 9 months to gather all needed information, such as the registration certificate or confirmation of purchasing renewable electricity, something like that. And after that, you can submit for your funding form. So alternatively, you can submit an application in the cheaper scheme. Here you have to bring in a plan for your project in advance of the purchase purchase, where you describe the project and the CO2 savings. If all criteria are met, you will then get the funding notice, and then you can start your project in the cheaper scheme. This is the yellow one here. This scheme fits best for projects where you would not get by with the de minimis criteria, which is 200,000 euros in 3 years. So for large projects, you are more likely in the cheaper scheme. And so we only have the buses, the funding for the buses, which is not in our big bus funding program, which I'm not talking today in this scheme. And we are engaged that we can fund the whole year with our available budget. But in case that the budget will run out, we have divided it into partial budgets. So a sudden increase in one of the partial budgets don't have the risk to run out the whole program. And you can see here, one is, for example, for electric cars for company, or something for e-mobility for private, and the various vehicles.